Good Monday morning. Welcome to the Olson Advantage. I'm Dave Olson, the Olson Properties Team. Today we're going to take a look at the markets here in Phoenix. We're going to use a slide that we showed you recently to kind of drill into and talk in depth using the Cromford as our guide as to what markets are hot, i.e. seller markets, what markets might be neutral or balanced markets, and then what might be buyer markets, markets that maybe are not quite as in favor. And again, for the most part, what that means is if you're in a seller market, you have a higher level of interest than you do inventory. So the analogy I like to use is think of a bathtub, okay? The water coming out of the faucet is the inventory, the drain is the demand. When the amount of inventory coming out of that faucet is high and the amount of demand is very small and that hole is small, then the bathtub tends to fill up, right? And you end up with more inventory and you end up having static pricing. When the amount of inventory that's coming out of the faucet is matching that drain and the water's flowing right to the drain, then you probably have a situation where prices are going up because there's really no available inventory or very little available inventory for you to choose from. So what we're going to do is take a look at the markets and then kind of dive into what that looks like. So let's get started. So as we look at the most recent slide that came out, in green, number one is Chandler. Now, to review, a market below 90 is a buyer market. A market between 90 and 110 is a balanced market. And a market that's over 110 is a seller's market. Now, back when things were crazy in 2022, 2021, we had markets in Phoenix that were in the 400s and 500s, okay, which was absolutely bananas. But you felt that if you were both a buyer and a seller. But let's look at where we are today. So we've talked about Chandler. Chandler's number one, sitting at 211. And as we go across left to right, it's increasing. It's up 3% over the prior month, and it was at 204.5. As we slide down the scale, we see Gilbert, Glendale, Tempe, Mesa, Fountain Hills. Tempe's got a little flame there. That went up 12% in the month prior. And then we slide down to Phoenix, Avondale, which was one of the warmer markets. It was up a full 9% over the month prior. Scottsdale and Peoria. Now Peoria dropped 8% from 120.9 down to 111.4. So it's hovering just above a seller's market. Again, 110 to 90 is balanced. Below 90 would be a seller's market. So let's look at what markets we have that are balanced. Surprise is at a 95, Paradise Valley is at a 94.7, and Cave Creek is at a 93.7. So only 3 of those markets would be considered balanced. It's fair for both the buyer and the seller. Nobody really has an advantage. And then the buyer's markets we have are Queen Creek, Goodyear, Maricopa, and Buckeye. And Maricopa and Buckeye are in a little darker blue because they're in the 70s, well below, and with Buckeye dropping down 7 full percentage points in the month prior from 69.6. Now we put some additional markets off to the upper right hand side, and we're going to review those too real quickly. They're not necessarily large enough to be a metropolitan, but if you are from Phoenix, you recognize some of these names, and some of them aren't even incorporated, so that's why they're not listed separately. Other buyer markets, Casa Grande is at a 64, Gold Canyon is at an 82, that's out in the extreme eastern valley, out past Apache Junction, and then we have Sun City West and Sun City. Again, That's kind of a function of the time of the year. So people that are looking for retirement homes and or seasonal homes, it's always a great time to be out there looking in the summertime. We've actually had 3 or 4 transactions out there in the last probably 30, 45 days, and we've gotten good concessions and good price reductions on the purchases because most of those places were sitting empty and they were a great opportunity. We just kept plugging away at them, and eventually we were able to find some great values for some folks. One of the other balanced markets, Litchfield Park, is sitting at a 109. It's almost to a seller if it gets up another 7/10. And then, of course, seller markets that we have identified as well. Anthem, which is in the North Valley. It's north of the Carefree Highway. Apache Junction in the extreme east. El Mirage, which is on the south side of Bell Road near the Sun Cities. Levine, which is in the South Valley, is up at a 118. We have Sun Lakes, which ironically is typically thought of as more of a retirement type of community, snowbird community. They just must not have much inventory because they're sitting at a 149 despite the time of the year we have. And then Tolleson, which is just south of the 10, between roughly, call it, maybe 67th Avenue and 107th Avenue, just south of I-10, is very hot at a 228. Now, why is it important to call out these numbers? Well, again, the Cromford report is really a 6 at a minimum, maybe an 8-week forecast into the future. So most of this isn't known. So this is based on interest level and inventory that's coming onto the market or has been sitting on the market. This is not stuff that is currently under contract, stuff that's moving out of play, because a lot of that stuff is 60, 90-day-year-old history. This is very forward-looking. This also rolls in things like mortgage applications. So how many people are applying for mortgages and what types of zip codes and areas are they looking at? So who could benefit from them? Well, first of all, buyers, depending on the market that you want to go to. Sellers as well, if you're in these green areas, you're going to get more of a premium. But imagine a situation where you're in a green and you're selling, but you're willing to move and or relocate to one of the yellow or blue markets. You might benefit significantly by selling a more in-demand property and moving into a less demand area or a higher inventory market. If maybe you work from home, maybe you work remotely, maybe you don't work at all, and you're able to do that at this time, it could be a strong benefit. Whether you're trading up, getting a bigger home, or trading down and moving into something smaller. So great information. If you know how to really mine it, it can be a very beneficial time. This is actually a pretty, sanguine, neutral kind of market. This is what Phoenix historically looks like. So hopefully you found this information useful. If you have any questions, know that you can always text the word answers to 59559. You can also call or text me directly anytime at 623-570-4464. If you have any interest in seeing any back episodes, back issues, I know most of you get this from us through HomeBot, but if you want to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, we'll post that picture up there. It's Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona Living, and then you can have access to any of the information that we've shared over the last several years. Thanks so much. Make it a great day.